this week we actually had a very interesting segment to start off Raw. Seth Rollins had a town meeting. He had everyone gathered around the ring, all the wrestlers, not all the wrestlers, but a good chunk of them were gathered around the ring, and Seth decided to give what started off sounding like a pep talk, but very quickly devolved into Seth Rollins insulting people and sniping at them and telling them that they sucked. It was their fault that Raw was now the C brand and it came in last on Survivor Series. My goodness. Straight up called out Randy Orton and said, hey, Randy, you were supposed to be the guy who had it all together and you were the weakest link. Randy Orton just turns and walks way up the ramp and gives a nice kind of dirty hand signal on his way up the ring that was edited out of the Hulu version if you tried to watch that.
Of all people giving that signal, I don't want Randy Orton giving me that wanker thing.
Yeah, the stroking off symbol, if you will. A little bit too literal there, Randy.
Kayfabe, dude. Kayfabe.
Apparently it's now part of kayfabe.
I guess.
Yes, Randy can't keep his hands off. Anyway, so also Seth Rollins took a shot at Charlotte, saying that Charlotte was supposed to be the leader of Team Raw, but she wasn't even the last person of Raw in the match. Charlotte, of course, had the same reaction as Randy Orton and stalked off, leaving Seth in the ring. He then started taking shots at AOP, saying, hey, you guys weren't even on the show. They took off, and everyone else started following them. As soon as Seth went after Rey Mysterio, saying, you sucked most of all. You couldn't beat Brock Lesnar even with the help of your stupid son. That's when the crowd turned on him, too, going, oh, okay, we're not getting Seth Rollins anymore. Seth Rollins is turning heel, is what it seemed to me. I don't know if it seemed that way to you. Last person left standing, Kevin Owens, who gets in the ring, and sure enough, Seth goes after him, calling him lazy, saying he was possibly on the payroll of NXT. Kevin doesn't say a word, just gives him a stunner, and leaves Seth lying in the ring. We later on had a match between Seth and Kevin. We'll get into that in a second. Let's talk about this first and foremost. Seth Rollins turning heel in this way. What do you think about this?
I think everybody was ready for it. I think we've all professed that it was coming, probably after that Hell in a Cell match with The Fiend.
Just that, or do you think that there was more going on?
This is all that fourth wall stuff of what's going on Twitter. Just Seth kind of just being a general dick to everybody external to wrestling. You know, so we speculated whether or not it was him on Twitter at one point. I'm pretty convinced it is. There's a lot of stuff that goes into this, but it's with all the heat that he's getting, and he started getting boos. I can remember the boos starting right around leading up to the Fiend Hell in a Cell match. And then at the match when he was getting all those boos, and then beyond he was getting booed. So yeah, it makes perfect sense. Steer the hell into it. Put him in a suit, trot him out, and make him a dick.
Nick loves his dicks in a suit. But here's the thing. If
dick heels,
they're allowing...
Not dicks.
Hashtag phrasing.
Let's be clear, yes.
I don't know, man. I think you like both. But anyway, the thing about this is that if Seth is allowed to go heel when he was he was like their top babyface for a while there, does this prove he's not the guy? Because they won't let the guys go heel, right? Cena can't go heel. Roman can't go heel. Even Hogan couldn't go heel until he went to WCW. Like, they won't let their top dudes go heel. Does that mean that Seth truly isn't the top guy? He just was the top babyface for a while, but the guy is still Roman Reigns? Is this what this proves?
100%. Totally. I don't know that I ever thought it got close. Like, there was a point where I thought, okay, well, Seth is over AF right now. He might be the new top guy, especially you're going to put him over Brock at Mania. All right,
Yeah.
Especially to open the show at Mania this year. Okay, maybe Seth is the guy after. Nope. Here we are. 6 months later. Now we're turning him heel.
They tried, and I don't know if they had an answer for the kind of reactions that he was getting between their booking and his social media presence. I just don't know if they had an answer for it.
Look, there was part of this as well. There was part of this as well that felt very like team captain after a big game loss. Coming in and just kind of rallying up everybody, but everybody taking it the wrong way and just.
But it But it was how he did it. It's again,
Yeah.
it wasn't like you could have rallied them, and if you had been giving positive advice and they had just blown you off, then they're the heels. But he's straight up calling them names and being irrational in how he's criticizing them. So that's really, I think which is why I liked how this built, because first he went after Randy, and Randy has been a heel of late, and Seth's saying you didn't play your part. Okay, not really heelish. We can kind of understand, and Randy's a dick, and all right, fine. Then he goes after Charlotte. And then you're kind of like, wait, what? Wait a minute. That's a little irrational. She got taken out by Asuka because she got mist blown in her face. That's kind of unfair. And then when he calls Ray's kid stupid, that's when we knew fait accompli. He is going heel. This is absolutely not how you pep up your team.
You don't go after Dominic. Somebody's
go
kid.
After Dominic. He's a sweet, innocent boy who doesn't even know who his daddy is.
He just got hurt by Brock Lesnar.
Right. So this is the thing, is that we're seeing a new side of Seth that's based on the Seth that I think has become the public perception. And I think it was put really well on Twitter. Jared actually repeated it in the chat just now, is that Seth on camera has become his social media persona, which is, what I mean? Like, you're playing right into the public perception.
Yeah.
I think it's a smart thing to do. I'm curious to see if they go all the way with this, because as we said, later on he had a match with Kevin Owens. It was a fine match. It ended in a fluff finish with AOP, of all people, coming out to the ring, getting in the middle of the two of them after Seth had eaten a stunner, and it looked like both of them were on the mat. We weren't sure who was going to win. They stare down both Seth and Kevin, who are exhausted in their respective corners. And then Kevin slaps one of them, and they both go after him, destroy him, throw him into the ring post a bunch of times, turn back to Seth, take off their jackets like they're going to fight him. And then as he's screaming, "Come on, come get me," they just back off and leave the ring. At which point Seth stomps Kevin twice into the dirt, and then ends Raw screaming at the crowd. So very interesting. Are we seeing this as being a dip into heel territory for Seth before trying to bring him back as a babyface that has realized the error of his ways and it's a redemption angle? Or are we going full on heel and we're going to have AOP as the perhaps like juiced up versions of Joey Mercury and Jamie Noble?
Absolutely. I think we're getting full corporate Seth here. And it's probably going to go about as well as the Stone Cold turn. It's not going to go over. It's not going to go over
negative
well.
on it.
I'm negative on it.
Why do you think that?
I think it's being executed well, but I think it's the wrong person to do that to. We've always said on this show, WWE doesn't know how to build baby faces, and they got really close. They've done a really good job. Even after everything Seth has been through with turning on the Shield, and 2 years later he still miraculously comes back and pulls this off. He's coming out and beating Brock Lesnar at Mania as a face for the top championship.
Well,
I mean, but
they
still somehow they screw it up.
Well, no, they screwed up his return too, because remember, he got injured. He came back as a heel. If they'd have brought him back as a face, everyone would have been like, they screwed that up. They had to then slowly turn him face, where they could have just turned him face on his return. They've been screwing up Seth right and left. I think they have a chance here to actually make him an interesting heel, as long as we don't go back to chicken shit Seth with his two goons. I think they have a chance to make this an interesting dynamic with AOP. But again, like you, I'm a bit skeptical. But I think they needed to do something. It was just going to get more and more into just nasty territory with him.
Yeah.
Him being called not cool in NXT. Like, I think something had to be done. And maybe it's lucky that he's not the guy and they can do this with him, because there's been times when we've said the best thing that could happen to Roman was turn heel. Cena turn heel. And maybe the fact that Seth's getting a chance, well, now we get to see what that would have been like. So,
yeah, but I think you made a really good point earlier, though, that they're not going to turn the people that they consider that important heel.
Right.
But with Seth, we've proven that he can do both really well. And I think they trust him,
I didn't like chicken shit heel Seth. It got old really quickly.
Authority Seth, I guess is what you would call it, that instance of it.
There was a lot of the booking of that kind of, they tend to book a lot of top heels as chicken shit, like Kevin Owens when he was Universal Champ. I don't like the way that goes either. So I'll see what they do with this.
So I don't put too much of the persona on Seth though there, because if you remember that, it was all about the Authority and Kane was involved and it intermixed with Lesnar there, and there was a lot of other stuff going on.
But it was a lot of him not wanting to defend the championship and trying to find every squirrely way out, and then being weak when he was in matches.
Yeah,
Kevin Owens was the same way. He would be weak in matches. If you'd had that, you had more like an Adam Cole character where he's actually strong in matches, but he's still chicken shit in every other way. That's like the one major big fix, is that he's still Seth Rollins. He's still the guy that beat Brock Lesnar. But now he's also...
He slayed the dragon.
A cheating bastard. Like, that. Now you have my attention.